Coming up on Crossfire Collectibles, the G.I. Joe Classified Series number 161, Snake Eyes and Polar Bear. Stick around. What's up and welcome to Crossfire Collectibles. Today's video, we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the G.I. Joe Classified Series number 161, part of the M.A.S.S series. Here is figure 2 with Snake Eyes and Polar Bear. So now we're moving on to our second piece from the M.A.S.S collection, and this one includes Snake Eyes with the radioactive hand variants, some regular hands. He's got the Polar Bear as well as the red radioactive crystal element. So that crystal element he picked up in the Sea of Ice. So we saw that in the one episode where Snake Eyes was actually contaminated with radiation sickness and then was attacked by the Polar Bear. Timber came to the rescue. That's where he was introduced in the Sunbow series. And then you get to meet the old blind man who kind of nursed Snake Eyes back to health. But very cool set. Lots of goodies in here, so I can't wait to get it open. But first, we'll check out the box. So you got the front cover. There's the M.A.S.S logo down here. G.I. Joe Classified Series, Snake Eyes and Polar Bear. You have the black and blue carbon fiber grid around it. Off to the side, 161, stripes and star. There's a picture of Snake Eyes looking up and the Polar Bear behind him. There's some stats for you right here. Here's a shot with the QR code if you'd like to scan it. Around to the back, there you have a nice little scene reenactment. There's a bear trap down here. You see the old man in the background with a couple of sled dogs. Snake Eyes right here trying to hold off the Polar Bear who's about to attack him when he's carrying an element. You can see that he's got the translucent hands on him. A couple of close-ups here. You got a chunk taking out the Polar Bear in this one. A couple of arrows stuck into it here, and then the roaring head right there. Stats again down here. 161 at the top. Off to the side, there is the full color image of Snake Eyes and the Polar Bear from the artist render, which is very, very nice looking. 161 at the bottom. Down onto the bottom of the box, you have the UPC here. Stripes and star, 161 at the top. And then, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and pop this open. But first, please subscribe to the channel. Alright, so we got another M.A.S.S collection figure. Next up will be the Divers 2-pack. So there's something cool about this one. I'll actually show it to you in this video. So wait till we get to it. So, pulling out the figure, here's the figure and all the accessories, as well as the Polar Bear in the plastic dungeon. You can see this Polar Bear is massive. So really cool they included that. I think I would have liked to see the blind man. I know we got him with the Reaction series, and you know, he came with the sled. But that's something I just really wasn't into. So maybe we'll see him for the Classified series, but time will tell. I'm going to set that back a minute. Inside the box there you have the extra leg and the bear trap. Oh, we can't forget our crap. Alright, so let's go ahead and get everything popped out. We'll go over it one by one and show you what all this set comes with. Alright, so here is Snake Eyes, the Polar Bear, and all the accessories. And you can see you get a lot in this set. So we're going to start with the accessories first, and we'll go from left to right. And first beginning with the bear trap. So this is really cool. This was actually attached to the backboard of the inner packaging. Really neat. We haven't gotten to see anything like this yet. So we got a whole new mold here. You can see it's got the chain piece that's attached at that small ball joint there. And of course you have the separated pieces here that are attached by these little inner plugs here that will hold the claw mechanism of the bear trap, so it can open and close like so. So really neat. We have a kind of dark gray color, all one thing, so pretty nice. Polar Bear. So we have some extra pieces for him. As you saw, both hind legs were not attached, so we popped them on. They're attached at these large ball joints. The bear is a bit big. I don't see why it couldn't fit in the packaging like this, because once they were plugged on, it was fine. But we'll go over him once we finish up with the rest and explain the whole Polar Bear. But here is his extra head. This is the more growling, fierce, menacing, attacking head. See, he's got a couple of scrapes on his face. Looks like he's got a dead eye right there. Inside of the mouth, there's some nice detail in there. So you have the roof of the mouth as well as the tongue and then the teeth. Very cool. Black nose there. Spin around to the back. And there's the socket to plug the ball joint into. Really neat. Another cool addition I liked with it was right here. You have this little piece of fur that is detachable. This part has a couple of arrows in it. You have the one here on his left front leg here, which would be able to pop out and you'll reveal the wound right there. So pretty neat. So we could take our arrows and we could pop it on like so. You could pick your poison if you just want the regular fur, if you want the arrows, or if you want the meat showing. Totally up to you. We'll get more into that. Next up, we have the red crystal element. So here it is, and pretty neat. Just like we saw with Breaker when we got the gold one. There's the red color of it right there. Looks pretty nice. Pretty much the same exact thing, just moved into this. We're going to keep that to the side, just as a heads up. Then here you have the transportation canister that the element would have, that Snake Eyes, was carrying through the Arctic and got radiation sickness. You can see the pink here and here showing the radiation within inside. It would be the same colors as the extra hands that the figure has. So really neat. It's kind of cool. It does not open. I thought maybe it opened and you could pop that element in, but I guess not. I was messing around with it, but unless mine is just seriously stuck in there, I don't think it comes all apart. So that's that. A couple weapons here. You have small knife, typical knife that we've seen continuously. Black handle, silver metallic blade. Down to the pistol, you have black handle, silver slide, bit of detail on it. You have the hole at the end of the front for blast effect. No magazine, but still nice. And we get our rifle, more classic Joe style. This one is all black though with the silver accents. Hole at the end of the barrel for a blast effect, nowhere for a mag on it, but still more reminiscent of the classic that would go with the Snake Eyes figure. So really nice, I like the touch to it. Some hands, as you can see, you get a pair of regular gripped trigger finger hands here. You have these hinge pegs at the wrist. This one will allow it to go down and up, as well as this one down and up as well. These are the flesh tones, so remember Snake Eyes didn't have gloves on in his original garb from the animated series, but that would be before probably and after the sickness. You can see he's got a pair of gripped trigger finger hands on his figure right here. Moving down, you have a pair of clenched fist hands in that translucent pink. It's more thicker down towards the fingers, and then it gets more opacity down towards the peg there. So these can angle in and out, same with both. And then you have a pair of these open chopping hands, so a left and a right, also in the pink, so heavier towards the end of the fingers, and it gets more translucent down towards the peg here. These can angle in and out as well. All right, the polar bear. So here he is. This thing is massive, man. Has some pretty good size to it, a lot of good weight. I haven't tried messing with it yet, but I'm gonna try to stand it up on its back legs and see how well it would stand. Looking at the bottom, there are no holes to plug in to stand, so if you have some trouble standing it, you're just gonna have to balance him, because I don't see anything in here that will allow him to stand totally up. We probably could. I'm not gonna spend too much time trying to balance him, but oh, well, there we go, we got him. So he can stand on the hind legs. Very cool, pretty hefty. If you were to bring the figure over, these are about 6 inches. So you can see Snake Eyes comes up to about mid front leg right here. So you still have a whole bunch of extra polar bear to go though. So these things are meant to be pretty massive. But anyways, we'll come back to Snake Eyes and let's finish up with the bear here. You can see it's got that sliding hinge here that will allow the neck to go up and down. Closer towards the head, you have that ball joint. And you allow some range of motion in the head here, all around, up and down, left and right. We wanted to pop that off. We can bring in our vicious head, which I kind of like. So pop that on and see how he looks. Pretty menacing. And I really love the detail. You know, you got that dead eye, you got the 2 scratches across his face, one across the eye, and then his nose over here. Really, really cool. Back legs and the front legs, you have that hinge mid-leg right there at the knee to allow legs to go forward and back. The ball joints will allow the legs to almost do a full 360, but it won't totally go around except for maybe the front one. You see the hinge here will allow the leg to come forward and back a bit. Then down at the paw, you have that hinge there, kind of at its wrist, you could call it. And down at the paws itself, you have the hinge to allow that little slashing motion on the fronts. None on the back though, but you do have a hinge there to allow that foot to come forward and back. And they've got some side-to-side pivot as well. So pretty neat. We'll go ahead and stand him back up in a normal stance, and then we'll check out the wound again. So here is the piece with the arrows. Pretty neat. I like that addition. I think it's pretty cool. He took a pretty nasty gash here, so that's pretty gruesome. But you can see nice big chunk of bloody meat on there. And we want to cover it up with the regular one here. I'm gonna have to, so he hasn't been attacked yet. But we'll set him back off to the side. And I think that's a really cool addition there. So now we will move on to Snake Eyes. And here he is. You just have a typical repaint of the Commando Snake Eyes from the retro card. He still looks great. I love the animated sunbow colors on him. You know, he has that purple blue. Very, very nice. You got the pink hands, you know, with the radiation sickness in them. A little more of a metallic visor in the purple. So really looks straight out of the cartoon. I really like it. It looks amazing. I was a fan of the Super 7 Ultimates version, but I gotta say the G.I. Joe Classified series really, really looks good. Even though the other is more cartoon oriented, this is as well, but it's based on more of the scale that we have with the majority of the Hasbro figures. And I think this looks absolutely great. Looking around at the details, of course, he's got his web gear up here in all black, a couple of purple pouches on it. Around to the back, there's a hole in the back that as well leads into the figure's hole socket on his back. I'll come down, he's got the knife sheath, which is a bit extended, longer than what the knife he comes with. You have a pistol holster over here, as well as a little area for a magazine that he does not have. There's probably something we could do with it. I was wondering if maybe we could stick the rifle in there. You know, you could just hold on to it, kind of. I mean, it's kind of ghetto, but, you know, you could do something like that if you wanted to, just to be able to fit everything on the figure. But overall, really nice. I think that purple really fits. But we're going to go ahead and check out the articulation. So head is on a ball joint. You can rotate a full 360, angle down, up, and side to side. You got some range of motion in the neck there. Coming down to the upper torso, you can see he's got the black here over the collars and around the neck. So really nice there. Over at the arms, they are attached at butterfly joints. The hinge will allow the arm to go up that far. You can rotate a full 360. You have bicep rotation, double jointed pinless elbows. And down at the wrist, you have that hinge peg to allow these hands to angle down and up. These are the more thicker pink down towards the fingers, and they get more translucent as they move back to the wrist area where the peg is. And this one can angle down and up over here on the left hand. So the web gear on the figure will not obstruct his motion here in the ab crunch. So you can see he can move that far forward and that far back. He's got some side-to-side tilting, some waist swivel. So pretty typical, we've seen it before. Down at the legs, up at the hips, you have the drop leg. Legs can go forward that far, back that far, out to the side that far. You have thigh rotation, double jointed pinless knee, calf rotation at the bottom of the pants and tops of the boot. Down at the ankle, you have that hinge to allow the foot to go that far forward, that far up, a bit of side-to-side pivot, and holes at the bottom of the feet in case you want to stand them on a figure stand. Don't think we need to. These figures seem to have pretty good balance. So we're going to go ahead and get him in a pose. I believe we're going to go ahead and leave these hands on him, but we do want to go ahead and test some of the others. So if we wanted to put on, you know, a fist hand, we can. We could have him have lost the element, you know, and he's going to be fighting off the bear. So we'll go ahead and give him this. Give him that little classic, you know, come on, fold his hand up. Yeah, not feeling that too much, but we will give him his gripped trigger hands. And I like these because we're going to have him just kind of march him along in the pose that we're going to give him, just carrying an element. But for the rest of his weapons, we'll go ahead and give him his knife in the sheath here. You can see that knife is significantly smaller than the sheath asked for, but it's okay. We have the pistol that can go into the holster over here. Now, one complaint I do have is I wish they would have stuck more to the animated version of the pistol we had. You know, in the cartoons, you can see when he gets smacked by the bear, he loses his pistol and he has a laser gun. He doesn't have this one here. So I don't know why they didn't include that, but It would be pretty neat if they did, but unfortunately they didn't. We'll go ahead and give him his rifle. Just slide that up into his hand here, and he'd just be kind of holding that along. And then we could give him the uncanistered element right here, which he won't hold too well. I learned that with Breaker. We could kind of balance it on the web gear, have him something like that. But for this version, I'm actually going to give him this physical transporting canister. Maybe just kind of have him holding it and carrying along. He should be holding it up, I think, to have it more secure. So we can do something like this. Just slide it in there around his fingers so he has a more firm grip. I'm trying to get him just hold it like that. And I think that'll work. Let's go ahead and get him off to the side. All right, so we're gonna keep Snake Eyes kind of in this pose. We're not gonna do too much with him, you know, because he is trekking through the icy forest and he's gonna encounter this bear. I don't think we need him to do nothing special with the bear either. So we're gonna leave him kind of in this pose, you know, almost on a little prowl of attack. But we do wanna get some of these accessories out of here and probably go ahead and show you some comparisons while we're at it. But I'm gonna do a couple other things, especially with this bear trap. So we're gonna go ahead and introduce Timber. And you remember from the cartoon, Timber was stuck in the trap and Snake Eyes helped him out. And when he did, he was attacked by the bear. Timber came to his help and rescued a little bit until the blind man came and shocked the bear away. We'll show you Timber's size to the bear, and you can see the bear is significantly bigger, way, way bigger. And they look good together. You know, if you had them face off or they look pretty good. Wolf first bear. Sorry, but the bear's gonna win. Still pretty cool. We're gonna leave Timber out here because I like the gray version with the Snake Eyes. I think it looks great. But we're gonna move Snake Eyes over here. I'll leave Timber right there, and we'll show you a couple more comparisons. Here's 161 Snake Eyes with the Desert Snake Eyes. You see they share the same head, different bodies though. We got this on the first version of Snake Eyes that we got with Classified. Kind of weird to use the reuse for that, but gave him that head. I still like it because it's the commando head, but on the newer body, more modernized. Here we have him with one of my custom unmasked Snake Eyes figures. And then here is Snake Eyes mask version with the mask breaker. All right, so we wanted to check and see if the element and the translucent hands glowed in the dark, but I didn't see a reaction to it. I turned off all the lights and looked at it. Maybe they need to charge in some sunlight. You know, this did come in a shipping box and we opened it from there, so it had been, you know, in a dark space for a little bit. It's pretty nasty and stormy out today, so I'm not gonna be able to set it out in the sun, but maybe they do glow. I don't know. I heard through the grapevine that these elements did glow, but I didn't see it from my end. But if it does, leave me a comment and let me know. But we're gonna go ahead and get everything set up onto the turntable, toss Snake Eyes up onto it, and then we'll be back with some final thoughts.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Crossfire Collectibles.
Crossfire Collectibles.
You're watching Crossfire Collectibles, and knowing is half the battle. Yo, Joe.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
All right, so here you have it, the G.I. Joe Classified Series number 161, M.A.S.S, Snake Eyes and Polar Bear. So this is an amazing figure and animal deluxe set. That polar bear is massive. That was really cool. I was really not expecting them to come out with any larger animals, you know, except for maybe the dogs. But that's really cool that we got the polar bear. So I would expect maybe in the future, we probably would get another type of larger animal, you know, maybe a horse or something. I mean, that's a bit bigger, but you never know as far as these things go. I was never expecting a polar bear, but we got it. Nice articulation on it. The addition of the extra head is really great. So you can have him, you know, just roaming normally or in that fierce attack. I love the extra details with the slashes across his face and that dead eye. That's really cool. The addition kind of reminds me more of the Jurassic Park toys, you know, where you can pull off that piece and reveal that, you know, wounded area on the animal. That's a really cool touch. I like it. I think that really suits it and it looks great. The addition of the bear trap, you could throw Timber into the mix if you like I did. You know, brought in our gray Timber and had him a little bit on the bear trap to kind of reenact the scene from the G.I. Joe Sunbow series. The figure himself, he's almost perfect. I wouldn't say he is perfect, but he's great. He looks, in my opinion, a lot better than most of the Snake Eyes figures we've got, simply because that was the first version we've seen on the animated series. In the comic books, I was more ready for the black versions, but we get this, you know, from some of the first original episodes of G.I. Joe American Hero in the M.A.S.S device 5-part series. And it was really nice to see them bring this to life, as well as the Breaker in the last one. I did have some issues with Breaker's costume, with Breaker's outfit being not as dark gray as I thought it should be, but the Snake Eyes, I think they really nailed that purple. The addition of those radiation sick translucent hands here are really nice. You get the extra ones down here, which I really didn't see much need for, but we do have them, you know, the fisted, the chopping, and then you have the extra hands that are regular flesh tone. You get the element, which is also very cool. So maybe with this one, if they do release a buildable M.A.S.S device, or just actually in a set, and you can set all 3 canisters on there, that would be really nice. But what I really like is that they included that little transporting canister here. So you can throw that up on Snake Eyes, just have him marching along, and that's really, really neat. A great, great surprise from it. As for Snake Eyes and his accessories, I wasn't too happy with them. I did like the rifle and I like the upgraded look of it, but I really think they should have gave us the more animated style laser pistol that he had in the show, especially when he was attacked by the bear. That was kind of a bummer on that. The knife, I don't know why they gave you such a small knife for that old, larger black sheath. It's still cool, I guess, to have some extra pieces, but I don't think they thought that one out too well, so I don't really have too much nice to say about that. But overall, I think that figure looks great, especially with that purple. It really stands out, really looks good, and really brings back a lot of memories. Overall, it's a great set. I would definitely recommend it if you're a collector, and this one is at the top of my list so far of this year. I really think it's great. A lot of new accessories. That addition of the polar bear is really nice, and I think the figure looks great. But that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed what you saw. If you did, please, like always, leave that giant thumbs up, subscribe, tickle that bell. Be sure to follow us on social media. We still have the Cold Slither set, the Cobra Rattler, and a bunch of figures moving in. So be sure to tune in, and we will see you in the next ones. Peace.